All right. So today's episode is for the girl who's done playing it small because she's scared of looking silly or has fear of visibility. The one who's been watching from the sidelines, convincing herself, I was going to say convinced, but convincing herself she's just not ready yet. Is that you? I know that was me. Well, today I'm about to spill the goods on how I landed a major podcast episode with one of the biggest names in email marketing. Jay Schwedelson. Yeah. And I'm a total beginner since October of 2024. And I'm talking full blown, like, who am I to do this vibes? Imposter syndrome, which I actually admitted to Jay. I probably had a slightly shaky voice, definitely sweaty palms because I was super nervous a little bit. But here's the thing, sometimes you grow not by being ready, but by doing it anyway. So let's talk about fear and taking the shot and why putting yourself into rooms where you feel super underqualified, like the underdog, might actually be the secret to getting ahead. Okay. So here's the full confession. Listen up. I almost didn't reach out to Jay. I almost stopped myself from this opportunity. Jay Schwedelson, he's the one who sends those super genius email marketing tips that make you want to rewrite your entire business and entire emails. He's the guy with a massive following, industry credibility, and a calendar that probably has a waiting list longer than TSA on Christmas Day. Yeah, that Jay Schwedelson. So here I am, a total newbie podcast host. Thank you, Amy Porterfield. And I had a super scrappy mic set up. I had my microphone propped up on books, and I'm testing my mic. And I had this big idea. I'm like, what if I just asked? So his live virtual event, he said at the end publicly that he's available to collaborate on podcasts. So it was like a light bulb moment for me. And I'm like, ooh, I should take him up on this. So what if I stopped gatekeeping myself from opportunities because I assumed the answer would be a no? Y'all, the stories in my head were so loud. I didn't have enough followers. Why would he want to be on my Goalpreneur podcast? I'm going to sound like a total flub or a total rookie. Like, who am I to be doing this? And then the biggest gut punch was, you're not ready yet. Those words, you're not ready yet. That was screaming in my head. So that's the internal narrative that tells you to wait until you've earned your seat at the table. That if you're not already big time, you have no business contacting, email, networking, or even thinking about being in those spaces, in those rooms, or at that table. Then I paused and asked myself the one question that changed everything. What if the only thing standing between me and my next level of success was the invitation that I was too damn scared to send? Okay. I had Amy's voice again running through my head. Court, just do it. Courtney, do it scared. Do something different. Court, just do it. Send that email. So one evening after a couple hard seltzers, I was like, yeah, I'm totally emailing Jay and I'm going to take him up on his invite. I crafted a super casual email, hit send. My heart was pounding. I had voices of doubt shouting in my ears. And a few days later, I got a response. And I thought for sure this was his way of making me jump through hoops just to say, sorry, your date and time, they don't really work for me. I'm really booked out, but thank you anyway. But you know what? Jay said yes. So fast forward to the day of the interview. Jay shows up, super bright, cheery, the Jay that you would expect, the Jay that you know from social media. So I'm pretty calm for the most part because I did my research and I kept telling myself at the end of the day, Jay is a regular guy. He's just a regular person with a super cool job and a super cool platform. But I had to keep reminding myself that. So I also put questions out into Facebook communities that I'm a part of to say, hey, I have this really great podcast guest coming on. He's in email marketing, online marketing. What would you like to know? So no, I didn't become a super polished interviewer or podcast host overnight because during that interview, that conversation with him, I totally had shifty eyes. I'm looking all over because my mind's going 1,000 miles a minute. I forgot my transition questions. I had to hold something in my hand just to remind myself that to stay calm, present, and just to breathe, because it's Jay. You know what happened though? We had an amazing conversation. It was so good and it was fun. I loved that communication. I loved that conversation. Here's the takeaway though. I didn't need to be the smartest or biggest person in the room to belong there. I just had to be the one willing to show up regardless of fear. Jay didn't care that I wasn't a big name or I didn't have a big following or a big audience for my podcast. He was happy that I respected his time. I came with questions and I made a space for him to shine. So that episode, it gave me credibility, social proof. It gave my audience massive value, and it gave me the confidence that cannot be faked or fast tracked. So sometimes the experiences that you're scared to have are the exact experiences that make you qualified. So what this means for you is you're allowed to go first. You're allowed to make that first step, to send that email, to make that connection. You do not have to wait until you feel ready to go after something big. Okay. Nobody's going to send you a certificate of readiness because it doesn't exist. There's no neon sign that flashes. You're qualified now doesn't exist. You become ready by doing it anyway. So if you're sitting on a dream, starting a podcast, launching a digital product, reaching out to a dream client, or applying for that opportunity like I did, here's your permission slip. Just go first. Send the message, send the email, send a DM. Put yourself out there. Be the person that sends a DM before she feels big enough or ready enough. Pitch the podcast, launch the idea, write the post, ask to collaborate, ask for that connection. So start ugly, start messy, and start now. If someone says no, okay, you survived. Next. If someone says yes, though, you have just opened up a brand new version of yourself. You just opened up a brand new opportunity. And the worst case scenario, it's not a no. The worst case scenario is staying stuck exactly where you are because fear convinced you not even to try. That is an awful place to be. So let's break this down into what you can actually do this week to get yourself into some rooms that scare you, but in a good way. So number one, make a scary ask. Pick one person you admire, like a mentor, an expert, a potential collaborator, like Jay, and send a message today. You don't need a huge audience. You need initiative. You need to be bold enough to take that first step. Most people are flattered to be asked. And worst case, you don't hear back. Okay, big deal. You didn't die. So when I say that out loud, I actually have Chow's voice from the movie The Hangover running through my head saying, "But did you die?" I love that part. So number two, borrow belief. You don't need to be 100% confident to take action. I certainly wasn't, but I did it anyway. So borrow 10% belief from someone else like me and let it carry you. Let the momentum carry the rest. I wasn't fully confident that Jay was going to say yes when I emailed him, but I was confident that if he did say yes, hell yeah, I'm showing up and I'm going to be totally present. So if this works out, I will rise to the moment. But if it doesn't, I'm still proud of myself for trying. Now that is power. So number three, practice being seen. Sometimes we avoid big rooms because we're sulking in the corners of the small rooms. We don't want to leave our comfort zone. So post a thing that you've been sitting on, share the story, publish the reel, hold your masterclass, live launch your course. Okay, put yourself out there. Your dream clients, they're not judging how your hair looks, how you're dressed, how you look. They're magnetized by your energy. Dude, I got goosebumps, okay? I'm like telling myself this. So try asking, would my people feel empowered by seeing me show up today? Okay, now number four, take the shortcut. It doesn't have to be hard. The shortcut, it's relationships. The fastest way to grow your business, it's not by ads or funnels. It's by creating connections, those relationships, Jay's podcast episode gave me way more than just credibility. It gave me confidence, connection, and momentum and encouragement to keep going, to keep pushing my boundaries. None of that would have happened if I would have stayed in my comfort zone. So if you're in a season where it feels stuck or slow, ask yourself, who can I learn from? Who can I serve or collaborate with or partner with? And what opportunity am I avoiding out of fear or hesitation for whatever reason? So take one step, one message, one reach, one connection. And here's my final thought for you. The people that you look up to, my gosh, they started somewhere too. Jay didn't start with millions of followers or millions of downloads on his podcast. He didn't start with a massive audience or massive keynote stages. He started by saying yes to something that stretched him, that pulled him out of his comfort zone. And now so did I. And you can too. So I hope this episode reminds you that you do not need permission. You just need courage for 5 seconds. Enough to hit send, enough to walk into the room and say, I'm here. I don't have it all figured out, but I'm showing up. Because, girl, you never know who's watching. Okay? Goosebumps again. You never know what magic happens when you stop gatekeeping yourself, when you stop holding yourself back from reaching the next level. Okay. So that's a wrap on this Spill the Tea episode. Go take up space. Put yourself out there. You deserve it. Get to your next level. So raise that bar for yourself. Push your boundaries. Just do it. Okay? That's it. I will chat with you again soon. Bye.